It's potentially the best video game franchise of all time, so let's rank them. Hi, it's Ollie from Cross-Platform Gaming, or XPL for short, and welcome to this ranking video where we'll be looking at the behemoth that is Grand Theft Auto. The Grand Theft Auto games not only define their genre, but gaming as a whole, and with the recent announcement that GTA will span 3 console generations by dropping on next gen in 2021, and with rumours still persisting about GTA 6, we thought there was no better time to bring this video to you. This controversial yet amazing franchise has been a staple of any serious and casual gamers collection for years now, but which one do we think is Rockstar's greatest? Just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. This list will solely comprise of the 3D and HD mainline releases, so there's no place for classic top-down original games or any of the releases that aren't classed as mainline, such as handheld releases like Liberty City and Vice City Stories on the PSP and Chinatown Wars on the DS. Dependent on this video, and if you guys want to see it, we could potentially be open to doing a full comprehensive ranking video of all games released under the Grand Theft Auto banner. Of course, this ranking list is purely opinion based, and we appreciate that everyone else may have differing thoughts, so please let us know yours in the comments below. So, first up, at number 5, it's Grand Theft Auto 3. Really, the game that started it all. Of course, the top-down older GTAs still have their place, but GTA 3 is the game that made this franchise legendary in this industry. It was really the first game of its kind. You could pretty much do anything you wanted, running amok in Rockstar's fictional New York called Liberty City. At the time, there was really nothing like it, but that's the reason it is the first entry in our list. The list is being written in 2020, so in hindsight and comparing it with the newer games, you can see its flaws. The world doesn't feel as accessible and lived in as some of the others that will feature later in this list, and the mute protagonist Claude doesn't garner as much emotion from the player as some more other recognisable future characters may do. However, all of these games are fantastic, so there still isn't too many negatives even now. GTA 3 has to be remembered as the catalyst for all future open world games that followed, and is the starting point for all of the aforementioned amazing games in this list. GTA 3 shows players what to expect from the series as you're double-crossed right at the start. Claude is stabbed in the back by his girlfriend, who becomes the antagonist of the game and is freed on his way to prison. It's from this point that Liberty City becomes your rampaging playground, and mayhem ensues for hours upon hours of gameplay. Number 4 on the list is Grand Theft Auto 4. Grand Theft Auto 4 was the first game on the then new platforms PS3 and Xbox 360. It was also the first time in the 3D and HD universe that the protagonist wasn't American. Niko Bellic was a Serbian immigrant, so this game got to deal with brand new themes and add the famous GTA quirk and humour to a far more expansive world than its 3D universe predecessors. GTA 4 tends to be the most divisive entry in Rockstar's franchise, with many fans saying this darker narrative and take were not changes that they wanted to be made, but we here at XPL are firmly camped in the positive section of GTA 4's fanbase. GTA 4 added a ton of new features, with this being the first game that relied heavily on the player character's mobile phone, and it included the ability to browse a fully functional in-game Internet Explorer at the various internet cafes. Another plus for 4 is the many recognisable characters, like Little Jacob and Niko's cousin Roman Bellic. The latter of those could also, to some players, be a big negative of this game. Players would sometimes go to sleep at night hearing, "Cousin, let's go to Titty Bar," as Roman would call the player to hang out what seemed like all the time, with many considering him to be a major annoyance and others even going as far as to state him as the reason they've not gone back to replay the title. One of the main reasons for XPL placing this above GTA 3 is the fantastic single-player DLC the game received halfway through its lifespan. Episodes from Liberty City came out with 2 brand new stories to play through that are interwoven with Niko's saga from the main game. Johnny Klebett's trials and tribulations as part of the Lost MC in The Lost and Damned are brilliant, but it's Luis Lopez's adventures in the fun and jam-packed Ballad of Gay Tony that are huge selling points of this game for us. They both tie the bow on what is already an incredible game, and GTA 4 definitely deserves its place on our list. Potentially a slightly controversial placement up next, it's number 3, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. What a game this is! The final game from the 3D universe took the world by storm. Set in the 90s and for the first time based in the fictional state of San Andreas, which boasted cities such as Los Santos and Las Venturas, Rockstar's reimagining of Los Angeles and Las Vegas respectively. San Andreas also introduced a bunch of new features, one in particular being that you could choose to manage protagonist CJ's hunger levels and work out to gain muscle. Some players loved running around the map, with a 300-pound CJ being a public nuisance. The story on this one is great, with more double crossing and a light look on the gang warfare that plagued that area of the world in the 90s. Again, to reiterate, all of these games are amazing, so San Andreas' placement on this list doesn't actually mean that it has many negatives, if any at all. And it's some players' favourite GTA games of all time, and we wouldn't want to tell them any differently. For the first time ever in the series, players could take to the skies in jets, choppers, and even jetpacks. Another first in the series here is that CJ didn't automatically die when coming into contact with water. The player could actually swim now, adding even more to the game. The concrete jungle of Los Santos now felt even more accessible to the player, as they could traverse the terrain in any way, shape or form. The game was received so well by its audience that we'd even see touches and aspects of San Andreas reintroduced in an upcoming game in this list, and Rockstar's biggest yet. Runner-up on this list in second place is Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the biggest scale game in the GTA series by far. As we said at the top of the video, by 2021, this game will have spanned 3 different console generations since its release in 2013, and that is no mean feat. The modern day version of Los Santos, accompanied by sandy shores, far outreached the capabilities of San Andreas with more to do than ever before, and one of the best single player experiences Rockstar had released up until this point. Of course, nowadays there are a couple of cowboys that may have something to say about that. The 5th instalment showcased more than one playable protagonist for the first time ever. Family man Michael DeSanta with a sketchy past, young hustler Franklin Clinton, and crazed psychopath and all-round GTA hallmark Trevor Phillips. Whilst the single player is exceptional, and one that I myself have 100%ed on more than one platform, the reason this title has the longevity it does and places second on this list is because of Rockstar's favourite cash cow, GTA Online. Multiplayer was introduced properly in GTA 4, after some co-op in San Andreas, but it really came into its own here, and is still being played by a large, active daily fanbase 7 years after the initial game's release. Rockstar have kept good on their promise of updating the online portion regularly, and there is always a reason for players to log back in and continue causing havoc on the streets of Los Santos. One point down for GTA 5 though is the lack of single player DLC content, which we at XPL feel could have been something that secured top spot on our list. Regardless, GTA 5 has to be looked at as one of the greatest games of all time and a real visionary and technical achievement of its day. Here's hoping that the eventual GTA 6 can top it. And taking its place at the top of our list is Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Nostalgia prevails. Vice City may not be the best GTA game in terms of gameplay in 2020 or visually, but as a whole package, GTA Vice City is Grand Theft Auto. Set in a wonderful time period in the mid-80s in the fantastic setting of the titular Vice City, which is Rockstar's take on Miami, this Scarface and Miami Vice heavily influenced hit was the game of a lot of modern day gamers' childhood. The story here, in XPL's opinion anyway, is the best in the series, with a plethora of brilliantly cast characters adding to the glitz and glamour of the Vice City underworld. Tommy Vercetti is an exceptional protagonist, as is the game's antagonist Sonny Forelli. Fans of the game will also know that the double crossing is back here and was the first double cross that really packed a punch, and we still to this day can't trust people whose forename rhymes with their surname. This game is so entrenched in me personally that I can fully recite the first few scenes completely off the top of my head. Another thing that sticks in the memory is the eclectic range of 80s tracks used in the game's in-game radio, which accompany the player when whizzing around Vice City in a Banshee, being an absolute menace in a Hawaiian shirt. Vice City improved on GTA 3 tenfold, with a lot more to do in the map, the inclusion of clubs, and a much more immersive story and setting in general. Grand Theft Auto Vice City takes its rightful place at the top of the XPL list of the greatest Grand Theft Auto video games of all time. So, that's our list. Do you agree with the placements, or do you think we should have had it in a different order entirely? Let us know by sounding off in the comments below, and keep up with XPL by subscribing, liking the video, and following us on social media under @XPlatformGaming. Thanks for watching, and from all of us here at XPL, please stay safe and have a wonderful day.